All right, let's look at this representation of a problem, a real world problem using trig functions or trig equations. All right, the number of hours of daylight at a point on the Antarctic Circle is given by approximately L equals this equation. This is important. Where T is number of days, so T represents number of days that have elapsed since the 1st of January. And L represents number of hours of daylight. That's important. So let's look at part A. Find L on the 22nd of June, the winter solstice, which is 172 days after the 1st of January. 172 days after the 1st of January. So that means this is T. So all we're doing here is we're actually putting this number in for T. So we'll get L equals 12 plus 12 cosine 2 pi over 365 parentheses, and then that's when we put in our T. T is 172. 172 plus 10. And then we just solve that. So for part B, it says write your answers in seconds. So for this one, if I use a calculator, I will get 0. So remember, L is in hours, so I'll get L equals 0.0004 hours. It wants it in seconds. So what that means is, remember, there's 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute. So 0.004 times 60, that represents the minutes, min, times another 60, that represents seconds. So then when we multiply all that out, we'll end up with 1.44 seconds. 1.44 seconds. Oop, there you go. And I rounded that to 2 decimal places. For part C, find L on the 21st of March, which is 79 days after the 1st of January. So here they're just saying, okay, T equals 79. And then you're going to do the first thing we did in part A here. Now part D, it says, how many whole days will there be until the first time there's less than 5 hours of daylight? Hours of daylight, remember that's L. So L is supposed to be less than 5. So an easy way to solve this is just to say, okay, what would T be? The number of days, what would T be? What does T equal when L equals 5? Because then we know whatever we get, it has to be less than that. So we just set the entire equation equal to 5. So 5 equals 12 plus 12 cosine 2 pi over 365 T plus 10. And that looks really confusing, doesn't it? Well, it's not if you're an okay algebra person, algebra, not that big a deal. Watch this. I'll just do minus 12, both sides. So 5 minus 12, that's what, negative 7 equals 12 cosine 2 pi 365 T plus 10, like that. And then now you probably know where I'm going from here. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 12. So I'll do dividir 12, or divide 12. So negative 7 over 12 equals cosine 2 pi over 365 T plus 10, just like that. Now you see we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, just using our algebra. Next part is, okay, we want to move that cosine over. So watch what I do here. So 7 over 12 equals, what we're going to do is, we're going to do inverse cosine. Like this, inverse cosine of that equals inverse cosine of that whole argle-bargle. So it would be cosine 2 pi over 365 T plus 10, like that. The reason why we do that is because we want to get rid of this. So now we're left with, let's continue that. Okay, now we're left with inverse cosine of negative 7 over 12 equals 2 pi 365 t plus 10. Haha. And so now the rest of this algebra should be pretty simple. Like, I'm just gonna shorten this a little bit. So I'm gonna multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So 365 over 2 pi, like that. 365 over 2 pi. Did that so I can get rid of that. So now I have that on the left side. So 365 over 2 pi times cosine, inverse cosine, negative 7 over 12 equals t plus 10. The final is just minus 10 both sides. And you get 365 2 pi times cosine, or inverse cosine, negative 7 over 12 minus 10 equals t. And then that's how you'll find your t, your answer.